What's up, Internet? This is Rambling Josh, and you're watching the very first episode of a new Let's Play project. The game in question is, of course, the one and only Soul Blazer. A nice little action RPG from the Super Nintendo era that you may or may not have heard of it, but, it's not really important, is it? Now, while the game is giving a little bit of a background on what this game is all about, I figured I would give you a little bit of background on the game itself. So, Soul Blazer is a game by a company that, even if you have never heard of them, you've probably heard of their works. The company is, of course, by the name of Quintet. Quintet had a pretty close relationship with their publisher, Enix, back in the Super Nintendo days, and they're pretty good at putting out games like Soul Blazer. Nice little action RPG games. So, some games on their resume is, of course, Soul Blazer, as well as Illusion of Gaia, Terranigma, and ActRaiser. They made a bunch of other games as well, but those are the ones that I know the best anyways. What's interesting is Soul Blazer is actually the first game in what some people consider to be like an unofficial trilogy of games. The other two games being Illusion of Gaia and Terranigma. And they're considered an unofficial trilogy because they have a lot of similarities as far as their themes, what the games are kind of about, as well as some recurring characters and stuff like that. And they actually share a decent number of assets as well, both like sound effects and art assets and stuff like that. So that's all kind of interesting. So anyways, in case you weren't paying attention to the story, which I wasn't, that's certainly the case. It's really not all that complicated. This little intro is mostly fluff and not a whole lot of actual content. Basically, there's this king, I believe his name is King Magrid, and he forced this fellow named Dr. Leo to create a device that would allow him to contact the King of Evil, Death Toll, who he then sold the souls of everyone in the land for gold. So now the entire world is devoid of anything. So you gotta kind of regenerate the world. It's actually very similar to another game by the name of Dark Cloud, if you've played that. The similarities are actually kind of fairly striking. Of course, Soul Blazer came like way before Dark Cloud, but whatever. So we're gonna start a new game here. And the name we are going to choose is Blazer. Blazer is kind of the unofficial official name. Can that be a thing? They actually refer to this character at one point in Illusion of Gaia, and they refer to him as Blazer. So that's what most people consider to be his official name. And they spell alright wrong every single freaking time they use it in the game. So anyways, this is kind of our base of operations here, where we commune with the Master, who is basically God. Or, I guess another name that people sometimes use is Gaia. Anyways, there's this little yellow orangey blip at the top here where we can talk directly to him. And lets us save our game. And there are blue blips that teleport us to various locations. These other two ones are sealed at the moment. So if we go here, we're inside of a little dungeon. In this chest we receive the Sword of Life, which we can go to our menu and equip. And now we have our little sword. And you can see in the corner over there's a little monster. And there's a little glowy monster spawner. So the way enemies work in this game is kind of odd, because they're just honestly not very smart. So if I just stand here with my sword pointed forward, which I can do with L or R, any enemy that touches it will take 1 damage, but very rapidly. And at this point in the game, since we only have 1 strength, that does as much damage as our swinging our sword, so it's a much better option. So, killing all the monsters that come out of that little spawner will turn into a little green thingy that we can step on, and upon stepping on it, it releases a soul, or something along those lines anyways. So now we can talk to this fellow. Oh, so he's, I guess we're both supposed to be like, I don't know, archangels or something. Oh. Well, I guess I got some magic. If you're using the magic, then why are you giving me the magic? But anyways, that fellow is responsible for all of our magic. So let's equip the flame ball, and I will demonstrate that in a moment. So now, if we go to this downward gem thing, now we're in Grass Valley, which is looking pretty barren. So the concept for the game is that anytime you get to a new area, you have to kind of rejuvenate the land. And you do that by going into the nearby dungeon, much like Dark Cloud. So, there's this old tulip here, and it says exactly what it just said. Okay. So, here we have our first dungeon, the underground castle. So there are these little monster spawners that will spew out enemies at us, and we can kill these things just by kind of letting them walk into our sword. We can also slash at them. Your sword has a really wide range, so a pretty common tactic is to kind of try and stand like offset from them so that they can't actually walk into you. Monsters in this game are really not that smart. So a lot of times when they come out of the spawner, they'll just walk in the exact same pattern as every previous monster. So just gotta kind of kill them until they're all dead. If we press start, we can see how many monster layers are remaining on the screen. And stepping on a monster layer, it will typically do one of 2 things. It will either change something within the dungeon, like open up a passage for you, or it will release a soul. So in that case, we released a lady. Down here is a dead end. Now let's show off how the magic works. Basically, all the magic comes out of this little glowing fellow that's circling around us. Careful with these guys. So, if we press... I don't know what button it is on the SNES. Y? Yeah, I think it's Y. He'll shoot a little fireball. And you'll notice that the fireball actually comes out of his orb, which is constantly circling around us. Which means that that adds a little bit of extra depth to the magic system, and that you have to actually aim everything. So that unlocks a treasure chest for us, and we get a medical herb, which is a nifty little item that if your health meter reaches 0, it will regenerate you to full health, which is pretty handy. So just kind of set ourselves up down here, and the monsters will all walk to their death. The little numbers you see popping up whenever something dies is the amount of experience we're getting for killing it. You can see at the top there we have 29 experience. Because of course you level up. We will level up at 100 experience. This fellow here is a little torch And it's a type of enemy that isn't actually tied to a monster lair. And those will regenerate anytime you not leave the screen, but anytime you like the screen, like if you leave the area and come back, or if you like release a soul or something. Anyways, this little fairy will give us some experience and give us the option to leave and go back to Grass Valley, which is handy if you want to go and talk to some of the people that you have released, but I'm gonna stick around for the time being. Oop. One of the things you can do that I haven't mentioned yet is if you see a gem lying on the ground, you can use your R and L thingy where you stick your sword out to actually draw the gem towards you, which can be pretty handy. As the old fellow said, you need gems to cast your magic, so collecting as many of them as you can is usually a pretty good idea. So here we release another person, and every time you release a soul like that, you actually regenerate a little bit of HP. So I had 3, and I now have 4. Go on, shoot your thing at me. Okay, well I was hoping you wouldn't actually hit me, but whatever. Yay, 12 gems. These little plant things are annoying because they have a little bit more kind of unpredictable movement. But that's okay. We can manage. Your sword has such a wide range on it that typically if you just kind of stand still and wail in the enemy's general direction, eventually it'll die. Yay, a tulip! Well, so assumedly there was before, you know, the world got destroyed. Oh, these guys are tricky. They let's see if I can demonstrate here. They actually will shoot stuff at you. So even more than normal, you want to try and stay kind of like on a diagonal with them and let like the corner of your sword do the damage. So just kind of like hide around the corner here and you're good. As well as the bridge. So let's see here. 6 monster lairs remaining. Oh, these flies are such a pain in the butt. Since they do fly like things and kind of fly all over the place. Get back here. And you can see down there's a whole bunch of guys waiting for us. And that's because monster lairs actually work in a couple of different ways. Oh, there we got the dream rod, that'll come in handy. Some monster lairs that will only release 1 monster at a time, but some will just release a whole bunch at once. See if I can get all of them. Oop. There we go. So that particular monster lair just released, and that one down there as well, just release a whole bunch, and just kind of say, you know, handle it. Luckily, your attacks are perfectly capable of hitting more than 1 enemy at a time. Oh, and I leveled up a little while back, so I have 2 strength now. So now that I have 2 strength, my my actual slashing attack is actually stronger than my just holding my sword out in front of me. That will still probably do damage quicker, just because of how quickly it actually hits, but the slash is perfectly reasonable to use as well. Now, anyways, what was I saying? Something about, I think I was going to say that different monster lairs will release monsters at different speeds. So in addition to having some that will just release one at a time, like this particular one. Actually, this one looks like, yeah, it will release more than one if you let it. So some will release just one at a time really slowly, some will release a whole bunch, some will be like, hey, there's 5 million enemies on the screen as soon as you actually see this monster lair, and whatever. So there is the watermill that we had heard about. A couple of slimes here. And there is one monster lair remaining in here. Whereabouts is it? I believe this is a shortcut back to over here. Is it down here somewhere? There. A lot of times you'll have a couple of monster lairs remaining that you just can't get quite yet, but I don't think this is one of those cases. I'm pretty sure you can get all the monster lairs in here the first time around. Perhaps not. Well, anyways, I'm gonna talk to this little fairy and go back to town. And that's gonna be it for today on Let's Play Soul Blazer. Catch you later.